Greetings, this is Charles Darwin. Actually, this is a mask of Mitt Romney, who was the 2012 Republican presidential nominee. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about altruism. You see, my wife Emma is rather religious, and she wanted me to read Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, as found in Matthew chapters 6 and 7. So I did, and I was astonished to discover that Jesus understood, in a primitive version but thousands of years ago, some of the things that are the leading explanations for the evolution of altruism today. There are three kinds of altruism, and all of them have been favored by natural selection. The first is known as kin selection. And in this, even if you do not directly, through your own children, leave your alleles in the next generation, if you help out your relatives, even if you don't do it yourself, but if you help your relatives to leave their alleles in the next generation, at least some of those are going to be yours, and so you have, in an indirect way, you have passed your alleles on into the next generation. The second kind of altruism is direct reciprocity. You help me and I help you, and people who cooperate rather than fighting will both end up further ahead than either of them would by fighting. And then the third type is indirect reciprocity, where somebody is very generous to people who could never possibly repay them, generous to people who could never possibly give anything back, but by being conspicuously generous, a person can gain the admiration and trust and cooperation of the onlookers. And this can also result in evolutionary advantages. And this is part of our human instinct. Altruism will never die away. Now, it's interesting that Jesus had something to say about all three types. For instance, he said, if you do good to your family, what do you have to brag about? Everybody does that. Then he also said, if you do good only to those who do good unto you, what do you have to be proud of? Everybody does that. And finally, when he said, when you give alms to the poor, do not stand on the street corner and sound a trumpet so that people will admire you, but rather do your good work in secret. He took direct aim at all three kinds of altruism and said, that's not enough. But you know, I think a lot of us would be happy if we just had those three kinds of altruism, even if we never get beyond them. But you see, because empathy and altruism are human instincts, they will never die away. They will always be with us. Sometimes, however, they can die back, just the way you see plants and trees dying back in the winter, looking like they're dead, but then in the spring they will re-emerge. They are not gone. We have recently, in the United States, elected a president who is not very altruistic, to put it mildly. He ridiculed handicapped people. He referred to women as sex objects for famous people such as he considered himself to be. Now, if this election reflects the mind of the American people, then clearly altruism is withering away. Certainly, it makes Mitt Romney look really good compared to what we got in 2016. But altruism will come back, just as the forests grew back in France after World War I. If you looked around in France after World War I, you would have seen bare hillsides where practically every living thing had been destroyed. And yet you go there today and you see lush green forests. It took a long time, but it all came back. The beauty of nature came back. We can also hope the same thing for altruism. We hope that if we can survive the next few years, that eventually altruism will re-emerge in the mind of the American people. This is Charles Darwin, tally ho, and amen.